Yes. Oh, ready? Okay. 2 seconds. Oh, hello.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, come on. I can't
I
hear
can,
you.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can see you, but I can't hear you.
It's on your end, not mine.
Damn
Take
it.
your time. Take your time. It's just either you have me on mute or something.
I can see you, but I can't hear a single word.
Okay.
Try your mute button. Okay. You can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um. It's saying it's working. It's saying,
You want me to?
oh, there you are.
Oh, okay.
Here, talk now.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
So who knows what that was about?
Maybe it was a connection problem. You know, this is technology. I've learned after being frustrated for so long that I just sort of go with the flow and not stress myself. How you doing?
I'm doing much better.
Wonderful. Well, you know, before we start the interview, we're already filming it. So, but we set it up to where we use this later on for bloopers or just in conversation for background scenes stuff. Um, I'm so glad that you wrote the book. But what caught my attention first was, let me just say this first. It's
Okay.
nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And when we were looking online, the drag11.com caught our attention. Well, it caught my attention, and I told her, and then she started looking at it, and she asked me, what did I want to do with it? And I said, I think that he's on to something with a series that could be like a series of something. I said, I don't know quite what he's doing. So she started looking at it, and she liked what she saw. So this is why I approached you about doing the show, because I thought that that is the drag 11 is the first thing I'm.
411.
Oh, 411?
Yeah. In the
Okay.
United States, 411 means information.
Okay.
So
And
it was drag information. So drag411.com.
well, that's what caught our attention, well, my attention. And then I told her about it, and she said, okay, let's try to see what we can do to make this work. And then when you told me you had a book, I was like, oh my God. And then the who's who, I thought, what a great story.
Yep. We have 35 books.
Oh, 35.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so just just so you know, the show is unscripted.
Okay.
It's better that way. If you feel uncomfortable about anything that I ask you, you can just say, I'd like to skip that, or I don't want to answer it, and we'll move on.
Okay.
But this show is about you. Has nothing to do with us. We just tell your story.
Okay.
Okay, so it's all about you. So your name is Todd Kachiniski
Kottmeier.
Kottmeier. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. So what I'll do is, since it's fresh in my mind, I will get started. So
Okay.
we're going to start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Stephanie Stevens Show here on Pronoun TV. Today on our show, we have the incredible Mr. Drag411.com, Mr. Todd Kachiniski Kottmeier.
Perfect.
And he has written 35 novels. So, and we wanted to talk to him about his latest novel, The Who's Who of Drag. So this caught our attention because this is something that we think was long overdue. And why did he decide to write the book now? He's going to explain that to us in our conversation today. So I'd like to say, welcome to the show, Todd Kachiniski.
Kottmeier.
There you go. So welcome to the show today. Thank you for doing the show for us here. Your book caught our attention.
Thank you.
So
I'm glad that it caught your attention.
okay, can you tell us a little bit, first of all, about where you're from and what do you actually do?
Well, believe it or not, I worked in restaurants my entire life. Then one day my heart got really bad. And so I had to get out of the restaurant field. So I started writing books, wrote a first novel, and that did very well. And people wanted me to write a sequel to that novel. And for the sequel, I decided that the main character was going to be hunted by a person that went around killing drag queens. Well, I started to write the novel and realized I really didn't know that much about drag queens other than stereotypes. So I went on Facebook in 2010 and I said, I'm writing a book about drag queens and I want to know if the drag queens can help me learn something about themselves. Well, the drag queens thought I literally meant I was writing a book about them. So they came out of the woodworks to give me information. And for the new book. Well, I realized that I needed to take that information and create its own book. and
Mhm.
it became the first of the series of drag books. Altogether, we have about 20 books that are just about drag queens.
Mhm. So where do you live now?
I live in Clearwater, Florida, in the
Oh,
United
there's a
States.
huge drag community in Florida.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So it should have been easy for
Especially
you.
I live in the Tampa Bay area, which is
Oh.
known for having lots of drag queens and events.
Mhm. Now, let's talk about you for just a minute. Why did you decide to write this book? Well, why did you decide
Well,
to start the series of
the
books?
new series, there's now two of them. There's 2022 and Who's Who of 2023. Actually took me a long time to get the courage to write that. We had the following, we had the following of drag queens with Drag 411, but we really didn't have, I didn't feel we had the strength of the 7,000 members to pull off the Who's Who book. I thought
Mhm.
it would be really hard to get the drag queens to talk about themselves.
Mhm.
And so I had to wait until I had enough members that I felt that I had the strength to put out there. I'm writing a book about you, and I'm
Mhm.
going to give you a half a page to write about anything you want to talk about yourself, and I'm going to give you a picture of yourself, and then had the courage and the fortitude that to beat the bushes until enough people could fill up a book. And we did
Mhm.
that with the 2022, and which is the one that's out right now. And then we just released the 2023 book in the past couple weeks to
Mhm.
a lot of success.
Okay, so how do you decide who's going to be in the book? Because some of these could be,
They decide.
oh, they decide. And
Yes.
so you just really just put them in there.
It's a cattle call.
Oh,
It's
okay.
get inside to get inside the book. All you have to do is say, I am worthy of people
Okay.
knowing about me.
Okay. Now, why didn't you choose the movers and shakers in Florida's like Nikki Adams and Dina Cass and Tiffany Ariagas and all of these women that, and Esme Russell, those women are very prominent in the Florida area. Gloria Klein, Sandy Laurent, a lot of those girls I know
Right.
in the Florida area.
Right. The reason a lot of people aren't in it is they didn't want to be in it.
Oh, okay.
In other
Okay.
words, I have a lot of people like Dina Cass and stuff who send me notes and say, you know what, Todd, I love what you're doing. I support what you're doing, but this isn't for me. I think this is for the up and coming people who still need to be known of who they
Mhm.
are. We have
Now,
lots of people that do that.
oh, okay. Now, when you say drag 411 is really about information, is it
Yes.
information for the drag community?
Um, I I think that is for the drag community, but I most of the readers tend to be the followers and fans of the drag community. They
Mhm.
like to they like to drag queens spend so much time like on social media talking about their shows and their performances that they really don't open up about themselves, and they don't
Well, I'm trying
realize
to
that
get
a
them to
lot
do
of the
that.
fans, yeah, the fans want to know about you, like you
Mhm.
personally, and
So,
and my books give them that opportunity.
mhm. Now, when you look at the book, when you, as the author of this
Mhm.
fascinating book, I would think that, like you said, drag queens will be clamoring all over the place to be in it because
Right.
it says I'm somebody. Now, when
Right.
you look at it, what do you see when you're thumbing through the pages and you're looking at certain, no, just in general, what do you see when do you see do you see a movie? Do you see a series? Do you see a documentary?
I see a series of these books coming out each year. I believe that the people that are in the 2022 book,
Mm-hmm.
about 50% of the people in the 2023 book were not in the 2022 book.
Okay.
So the momentum is picking up there as people realize they realize social media isn't everything.
Mm-mm.
For you to be recognized on social media, for one, you have to be on social media on that person's account. You know, if you're some person, like somebody just posted on my wall today of them holding the book from the Netherlands. Well, somebody from the Netherlands doesn't know somebody from Arkansas,
Mm-hmm.
but now they do.
Mm-hmm.
This opens up another venue. The post that you put on Facebook today, people
Mm-hmm.
aren't going to remember that 3 weeks from now. But
Mm-hmm.
that book that they have up on their bookshelf that they invested time in not only buying but also reading, they 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 look those people up on social media. It
Mm-hmm.
opens up a pathway of you spreading your message.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that most drag performers have messages.
Well, I think, the reason we started Pronoun TV, when I first came up with the idea, and then I talked to her about it, and we said we're going to go. What she asked me, what direction did I want to go, and I said, well, I'm really looking for the working of the gay community, the working. We already see the celebration. We know about pride. We know about all these things. But what can make an impact is the working family, friends, the real stories underneath, showing gay people live, work, they pay their rent, some pay their rent, some, have homes, some set up businesses. And this is stuff that we don't see on a constant basis, but we know it must happen because gay men and women, or whatever pronoun they are, they like lavish things. A lot of them dress certain ways that says I like money or I have money, whether it's real or fake. But we needed to show the real lives of these people so that way when the government and when society sees us, they realize, oh, we're not all just booty shaking and doing drugs. And
Right.
in the long run, that creates respect and some sort of open dialogue and puts a doubt in some people's mind about the gay community that they thought was less. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? Now, when we were thinking about your book, it she came up with a list of questions about the the why didn't you take this book to like the View or to other places that which I'm glad you didn't, because I think that most of the time this kind of stuff we need to share it with our own communities so it can become word of mouth and people know about you. Because just talking on real talk shows, sort of just like if, let's say if you're talking to Oprah, it's just like for that moment and then it dissipates. But
Right.
these videos from my show will be here long after I am gone, and
Right.
the upcoming things that we plan on putting in place are going to make sure that Pronoun TV is around for years and decades to come. But let's talk about. She wrote this. What is the importance of this book? Why is this book important?
I'd like I'd like to believe that this particular series of books is important because it shows the diversity of the drag community. I grew up where the drag community was men dressed as women, period. That was it.
Mhm.
It wasn't men dressed as women and women dressed as men and pick a pronoun and uh, put some clothes on and do a song and that's drag. It's come so far, and not only so far, but it's come so far so fast, you
Mhm.
know. And this book shows the importance that not only the importance, it shows that how much it encompasses now inside the community. That
Mhm.
when it's really easy to say all drag is valid, but what does that mean? And this book in black and white exactly points what all drag is valid.
Well, they try to make that point now with all drag is valid because they don't want to see the Florida drag and then the continental drag and the Miss Gay America drag. These are all have set the standards of what we as the gay community from around the world see as drag. We've been watching
Right.
these pageants and these shows, and they're very similar, whether you see them in the bars or you see them on a big stage parading in the pageants and stuff. And RuPaul has come along and put a wrench in that with this more of an artistic look to drag, but not a real, it's it's not real art in a sense of in Florida and in Chicago, and they create a real world of artistry for drag. It's
Mhm.
real. It's beautiful to look at. But when you see RuPaul, it's like we're watching something they like a statue, like something that should be in a museum, just standing there. Something to me, it just doesn't have any substance. You understand what I'm saying? Substance
Right.
behind it. You can dress up with all this clown drag or whatever, this drag that you think is art, but yet you can't do that on a night to night basis in Florida, Clearwater, Florida, or Chicago on a nightly basis. But yet you can sell the trans and the drag queen concepts to an audience every night of the week.
Yes.
But nobody's coming to see clowns in a sense.
Right.
This is what I'm trying to say about that. Um, RuPaul's done a great thing helping the young kids, sort of give them an opportunity to do. But I think she missed the mark when it comes to the opportunity she had to be bigger than what she could be.
Right.
And it's almost like saying, never forget where you came from. And this is something I think drag today has forgotten. Where the girls in Chicago don't want to look like RuPaul drag queens, period. And the ones in Florida, the same thing. So this is why Dina Cass told you that I'm sure she told you that your book wasn't for her because that's what she saw.
Right.
And that is the word around town. It's not just her and them networking against that. They're, even me, I know I don't want to look like anybody from RuPaul's Drag Race.
Right.
And I know the girls in Chicago probably feel the same way. But with that being said, your book is a fantastic idea and the fact that is the book selling?
It was on the bestsellers week list for the first week for gay and lesbian books. for
Mhm.
LGBT plus. So
So,
I'm very happy with its sales.
oh, can you
It'll
tell me?
definitely be, it'll
Oh, okay.
definitely have 2024, 2025. As long as people are interested in it and interested in putting it together, because we do other books throughout the year also. We do books on depression, being a drag person that deals with depression. We
Mhm.
did that book last year. We did a book on what it takes to start off in drag for the first time. So we do other projects with, if people go to Drag 411 on Amazon, they'll see quite the selection of different topics that we try to cover. Because I believe that drag performers have a voice, and
Okay.
people listen to it.
So what's the demographic of the people that are buying your book? Do you know?
No, Amazon
Oh,
doesn't give me a breakdown of that.
okay. All right. So let's talk about the book cover. I want to talk about
Yeah.
how did you choose the book cover? Usually, most people, anything you would associate with drag, you would put somebody on it that leaves it looks beautiful, androgynous, or kind of concerning in a way that sort of sells the book.
My very, very first drag book was called The Official Drag Handbook. It came out in 2011. It was the very first compilation drag book ever published in the in history.
Mhm.
And they can still get the book. And on the cover had about 100 drag queens on it. So much drama. There was so much drama. Even when we even came out later on with a different drag book that just had the legs of a drag person. And so much drama was on that because everybody thinks that it should be them on the cover, or why
Mhm.
weren't they on the cover, or why did I pick that person for the cover? So when it came time to do a book that has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of drag queens, there was no way I was going to put a person. And the more and more I thought of the cover, the more and more I thought of the cover, the more and more I realized
Mhm.
just basic, a who's who book. If you go to the library or the store and you look for who's who books, none of them have fancy covers. It's pretty much a resource guide. And
Well,
that's
you
what I
know,
wanted it to be, a resource guide.
well, being simple, that caught my attention. Even the red one here just caught my attention. It's great. I actually wrote two books, and I have them just sitting somewhere for now because somebody's interested in them, and we'll see down the road. Right now, I'm doing a few other things that I want to make sure that are how do you say, my glue for everything, and we'll wait and see about all of that. Now, let's talk about you. Now, can I just ask this
Yeah.
here because she wrote this, and I have to ask
Okay.
everybody your pronouns.
He, him,
Okay.
he,
Now,
him.
okay.
I'm not, I don't, I'm not cool enough to be a female.
Oh. Now,
I'm not smart enough.
do you go to drag shows?
Um, I used to, I suffer from onset dementia,
Mm-hmm.
and they took my driver's license away.
Oh.
So that pretty much cut me off from doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
So now
Now,
I'm one of those people that stalk people on Facebook.
oh, you watch the show, and they're like, "Who is this?" We
Who
know
is
what they're
this
saying.
guy?
Now, let's talk about the cost of the book and where we can find the book.
Okay, the cost of the Who's Who's book is in the United States, it's $19.99 is the suggested retail price.
Mhm.
You can go on Amazon and just type in Who's Who of Drag or Drag 411, and it'll pull up the books. Then in the beginning of the year, the books are available in 14,000 stores in 32 countries.
Mhm.
So Amazon gets to roll it out first, and then the rest of the world joins in.
Mhm. Now, let's talk a little bit, just a couple of more questions there, because I know that you're a busy man, and I've had 5 interviews today, so I'm ready for my lunch. Um, but I want to talk about, let's say that a drag queen wants to use your book to teach children. You know how they're having this controversy about the drag queen story hour in the libraries or wherever the event is or the reading is. What do you think about that? What if the drag queens want to use your book?
I would any of my books that are used, I would find a blessing. I would find that would be honorable.
Mhm. The reason I say that is because your book probably is very informative and it gives a great spectrum of what people think drag is, or like you said, what the person that is in the book thinks of themselves.
Right.
Now, are there any heavy hitters or big, well-known Floridian names in your book?
Alexis Mateo.
Mm-hmm. And
She's a hometown girl.
mm-hmm. And
She's inside the book.
the the reason I asked,
RuPaul's in the book. Some people have heard of her.
oh, well, that's an amazing thing. Well, the reason I asked that is because, like you said earlier, Dina Cass didn't want to be in the book
Right.
because I know how the trans women think. So that I know how they think. So I know them thinking. I can't say it on here about how they feel about whether it's clown drag or artistic
Right.
drag, and
Right.
that's not the drag that they think they do.
Right.
So they're reluctant. Even me, most of them now are trying to get on to the show, but
Right.
before they didn't even know me, and a lot of them, and didn't want to do the show. Now they're knocking my door down to be on the show because the prospects of us having something happen is soon, and they want to be a part of it now because sometimes people have to make sure that they think, okay, well, you're just trying to get, this is a project, a test project, this and this. I've been doing this a very long time, and I would never put any effort into anything that I knew that wouldn't benefit my life or the community down the road.
Right.
So I want to say thank you for being on the show today, Mr. Who's Who of Drag. Um, Well-known celebrities in the book. Miss RuPaul is in the book, and Alexis Mateo makes an appearance, and lots of other people who want to be the who's who of drag. And we will see in 2023 exactly where drag is going now with all of the pushback in the government
Right.
from different cities, and mainly Florida. I mean, I'm from Orlando, even though I live in Canada 35 years. I'm from Orlando, and I grew up in Fort Lauderdale and Miami. So drag was huge, and it was a big part of my life before I came here. And then even I came here for drag because Lacage was stationed in Canada, and they brought me here to work in the show. So that's what started, and then I liked it, so I just stayed. But I am going to retire back in Florida. I'm going to buy a house in Fort Lauderdale and sit down and do what old ladies do, sit by the pool and drink iced tea. I want to say thank you, Todd, so much for being on the
Thank
show
you.
today. Show us again the book.
And
The Who's Who of
Who's Who of
Drag
Drag.
Directory.
And can I make a comment before you leave me?
Mm-hmm.
The book that we're going to be doing this year is a book on where do we see drag going in the future.
Gotcha.
And all they have to do is go on Drag 411 on Facebook and look for the group, not the page, but the group for Drag 411. And people can get in, performers can get involved, and they'll have a platform of where they think drag is going in the future. It'll have a
wonderful
voice.
that you know, you're doing a good thing. I see something good in your fortune cookie. Now, I want to ask you one more question beforehand, because she's standing there waving. She wrote this big thing, and I see it, and she's pointing at me, and I'm seeing it now. So, when RuPaul was in your book, what did he write about?
Just pretty much why he does drag and where to book them.
Oh, okay, where to book them? Okay, a businesswoman,
Yes.
Okay.
For those that can afford to book somebody like RuPaul.
I just want to say to our audience out there today, today on the Stephanie Stevens Show, we had Mr. Todd Kachiniski Kottmeier. Am I right? And he's the who's who of drag. He has another book coming out very soon, and you can get those great books for Christmas and gifts for your friends on
Amazon.
Just,
yep.
And
just put in who's who of Amazon on Amazon, who's who of drag.
And you might be surprised that you might see some of your friends or your neighbors, because they want to be the next who's who of drag. I just want to say thank you, sir, so much today for sharing your story, sharing the idea. You're creating these great books and sharing a lot of the stories and introducing us to some new talent that might just shock us on the stages and events to come. So with that being said, thank you, sir. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and Happy New Year. I'll catch up with you around the new year and see what you're doing. So thank you today for being on the show, Todd.
Bye.
Bye-bye.